Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. So I think we all love that tie-dye look, but tie-dye can get messy. So I'm here today to talk about sublimation tie-dye, which is a kind of no-mess way to get the same look. So I'm wearing a shirt that I made with a sublimation tie-dye method and all with sublimation ink and my Epson EcoTank printer with Hippo sublimation ink. Now, we're going to do one shirt this way, the shirt I'm wearing, but I'm going to talk about an alternate way if you don't have a sublimation printer that you can get the same look with Infusible ink. And I made a cute shirt here that has that method on it. And we're going to talk about doing the front and the back so you get that tie-dye look all over your shirt from all angles. So it's a great way to get sublimation with a little bit less mess. So let's fire up the sublimation printer and talk about how to make this shirt. The supplies you're going to need are as follows. So you're going to need sublimation paper and a sublimation printer with sublimation ink installed. Then you'll need some type of protective paper or butcher paper works as well. Heat resistant tape, a polyester shirt, so I'm using this one from Artistry, which I really love. And then you'll need a heat source. So I'm going to use my Cricut Easy Press because I think it's going to be easier to show you the method on the screen. Plus, this largest Easy Press is larger than my heat press itself. So I'm just using the largest thing I have. And then some sort of mat. I'm using an Easy Press mat. And the first thing we're going to want to do is print our design onto sublimation paper. So let's take a look at the design and some considerations when picking. So I've already printed my sublimation prints. So you're going to need one that is some kind of solid color, or as you can see, I have like a watercolor print, and I will link to the ones I'm using below. I printed my watercolor print 4 times, and on these I've already cut it, but I was just going to cut this one on video. So I just cut around the edge and eliminated this white. That's because I'm probably going to try to overlay these a little bit, and I don't want that white line showing. But you do not have to do anything like a print and cut. It does not have to be exact at all. We're just cutting off the white edge all the way around. And then for the center of my shirt, I'm going to put this cactus design. Now, I went ahead and torn the edges around my cactus design. I have another video on preventing heat press marks, and that's what this is for. So I went ahead and tore the line, so I am going to follow that. So basically, I want to get a rough idea of where on the shirt it should be located. And it can be a really rough estimate. So I think it's going to be about there. And then I'm going to kind of gather my shirt up so that I have that area. So I want it from like there to there. And again, this does not have to be exact either. So I kind of want this area to be without any of the sublimation tie-dye. So I'm just kind of gathering it to the back. We're going to flip that over. And we're going to remove this later, but I'm just going to kind of put heat tape around that area. So I basically want to keep that area from getting any of the sublimation tie-dye on it. And this is one way to do that. And I'm doing that in this case, like if I was putting a black design on here, that would be fine. But this design has pink in it. And then my print has pink in it. I did that on purpose. But if I was to lay this pink on top of this pink, these lines would probably get lost a little bit. So I want to protect at least a portion of that center. And so I have that gathered up in the back. And I do want to say, like usually when you do sublimation, you're going to lint roll and all that stuff. The tie-dye portion of this, you don't want it to be exact. So I'm okay if there's some lint and this does not look precise because I don't want it to be. I want it to have a tie-dyed scrunchy look. So I'm just kind of scrunching my shirt up, and this is the front, right? So that thing that we gathered is to the back, and this portion is the front of my shirt. And you even want to scrunch the sleeves up. You want to scrunch up every portion. And you want to end up with an area that in our case is covered by 2 sheets, right? This goes from pink to like a yellow, and on this one it's pink to yellow. So I'm going to put these 2 together. I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm just going to kind of tape these 2 sheets together with a little bit of overlap. And now I want to get my shirt where hopefully it is under this paper. And so that means it could be a little bit bigger. And I've also covered my Easy Press mat with some protective paper, so we can make it a little longer if we need to. And then once this is covered about all the way up, I'm just going to tape it down to the protective paper in a couple areas just to hold it still as I do my pressing. You can do this in any area where maybe the shirt is sticking out, and it'll help hold the shirt under as well. So then I just covered the entire thing with protective paper to protect my heat source. So I think I'll press it twice. I don't think my Easy Press will cover the whole thing in one press. So I'll probably press the top and then the bottom. And I'm doing 400 degrees for 40 seconds. Then I'll just move it to the bottom, press again. And then once we're done with that second press, we can peel back these. And if they don't have any ink on them, you can use them again. And then we'll just peel back our sublimation paper. And you can see that tie-dye effect already on your shirt. So now we'll just remove this heat tape around this center portion. Then we can take a look at what our tie-dye looks like, and you can see that this center portion is open for a design, but we need to go ahead and press the back before we add our design. So I went ahead and replaced the paper on my mat because it was had quite a bit of ink on it. So now we're just going to do the same thing and just sort of bunch the shirt up. So now I'm just going to tape my sublimation prints together again. Again, pink, pink, yellow, yellow. Now that the tape is around the edges, we'll just cover with protective paper again and press in the same way. And once we're done pressing for the second time, we can remove everything once again. Once again, you have an awesome tie-dye look on your shirt. And so now let's flip this over. We are going to want to change out this paper. So now we're going to be adding our sublimation design to the front. This time we don't want anything to bleed through the shirt. So we're going to put some protective paper inside the shirt. And I'm actually going to use a piece of foam, which I go over in the eliminating press lines video just to not have any press lines. So I'm actually going to sandwich this foam in some protective paper, and I'm going to slide that into my shirt. I am going to pre-press just a little bit just to make sure, and I have some protective paper down. Then we can lint roll the entire area. And then since I'm using my Easy Press, I'm going to use quite a bit of tape around this outer edge. Then we'll just cover this with protective paper, and we can press 400 degrees for 40 seconds. And then we can lift to reveal the design on our shirt. So I'm kind of in love with this sublimation tie-dye technique. Let's take a look at a shirt I made with Infusible Ink using a similar process. So you can use Infusible Ink to do the exact same process. So all you do is take, like I took this patterned blue sheet out of this box, and I cut it in half actually because this was a child shirt. And then I just used it in the same way on my shirt to get a sublimation design on the front and the back. So I got that tie-dye look. And then I cut Infusible Ink out of this plain blue and added a design to the front. Now with either of these techniques, the design on the front could also be HTV. So you can kind of combine sublimation Infusible Ink with HTV if you would like, with the same process. But it's definitely a great way to get a no mess tie-dye all within a few minutes. So I'm absolutely thrilled with the way this shirt turned out. It is amazing what you can do with a little sublimation ink, your sublimation printer, and your Cricut Easy Press in this case. Now, don't have a sublimation printer? Remember, we talked about how to do it with Infusible Ink as well. So never fear, you can also get a no mess tie-dye look. But I have a special surprise for you. Later this week, I'm going to talk about another method for less mess tie-dye. I'm going to call that one less mess tie-dye. So if you are wanting the tie-dye look and wanting a bunch of ways to get it, stay tuned to our YouTube channel. So if you have any questions about these two methods, sublimation or Infusible Ink, please ask those in the comment section below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. You don't want to miss that video coming later this week. That is going to be another method for getting that tie-dye look with less mess. So you can have your tie-dye all summer, all winter, all with less mess. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.